This old hoodie that Butterfinger gave me is the closest I could get to X-Men colors. To me, my X-Men, and nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Not sponsored. X-Men 97. This is the new series that is a continuation of the original X-Men animated series that's coming to Disney Plus. The first 2 episodes are dropping, and they're going to put a new episode out each week after that. They had a fan event at the El Capitan Theater, and I was able to go to that to see the first 3 episodes. They had a bunch of X-Men fans and cosplayers. It was a wild night of excitement. Sorry for that. Overall, man, I absolutely had a great time watching these episodes, and it is a continuation of the X-Men animated series. I thought maybe it was gonna be like a new series, but just in the style of the 90s series. No, it really picks up after the last episode, deals with what happened with Charles Xavier at the end of that episode, and is everything going from there. Some time has definitely passed, but it is definitely set in that world. Like the most recent pop culture slang I think I heard in one of the episodes is somebody said bling. That's pretty much it. There's no iPhones, there's no social media, there's no references to current pop culture memes or celebrities. It is legit taking place in the 90s, so I appreciate that. It is like the next season just started up on Saturday morning on Fox Kids Network, and that's cool. So now I kind of feel like I want to binge the original series and then go right into this because it will feel like no time has been lost. Speaking of the theme song, Chaim Saban and Shuki Levy still getting them checks, baby. And let me talk about this intro, y'all. So the intro starts playing, right? I hear that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they brought the theme song back. And then I'm watching the intro sequence. I'm like, wait, that's the plane flying over the logo. Wait, that's them flying over the logo. Hey, there's Cyclops doing this, and the Wolverine's doing this, and Storm is flying across, and Rogue's flying across. Oh my gosh. It's new animation, but it's pretty much the exact original intro. I mean, there's some changes, obviously, because like Magneto's in the intro now, Morph's in the intro, Bishop's in the intro, and they've done some changes here and there with the other scenes of the intro. But as much of the original intro that they had, they pretty much redid it in this new intro for X-Men 97. Even the whole like one team running the one way, the other team running the other way, and the humans are in the middle, and Professor X does this, and Magneto does this, and they all come together, dong, and the logo comes up. That's all in there, baby. I was like, oh shoot, they recreated the intro, let's go. I transformed back into 90s Andre and was ready to watch these episodes. You know what you did. You put that nostalgia memories in my head hard, and it freaking worked. And I hate the player, hate the game. It worked hard. I was like, yep, you brought me back. For me, it's like, it feels like a new season of the original series. It has the same kind of vibes, but just with newer animation and newer people working on it. And actually some older people working on it because they brought a lot of the original voice cast back to this one.
A beautiful involuntary friendship.
You have my word, Jean.
The voice cast, both new and old, I think did a great job. Of course, you can tell with some of the original cast members who came back for X-Men 97. A couple of them are a little bit older, and you can kind of notice that in their voice, but they still got it. They still got the charm of those characters.
Jeez, Bub, keep buzzing in my ear.
They still have the personality. That is still intact, so it works for me. And the new cast members they brought in to voice some of the characters do a really good job.
We get this done by working together as a team.
I think it's really cool that you have original voice cast returning, like for Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, and Beast. But the newer voice cast, like for Cyclops, Gambit, Jubilee, or Morph, they either sound very close to the original, or they have characteristics that have similar vibes, or even deepen the character more, where it never stands out as too different. Plus, what's also cool is that other original voice cast members will be in the show, but as different characters, like in the case of the original voices of Jubilee and Morph. There's definitely some other characters that are coming back. There's definitely some giant things that the X-Men have problems with that come back. You know who I'm talking about. And maybe some of the people that helped make some of those things coming back. There's even some deep cut characters that return. Like there's this one episode I remember specifically about X-Men mutants that live in a certain area. They show up in this. So I thought it was really cool that they made like a quick reference to them. I've watched a number of episodes of the original series. I've not watched every single episode. I would catch it whenever it came on Fox. There were so many multi-arc episodes. And sometimes I would catch like part 2 or part 3, but not see part 1. Or it's a continuation of the season arc story. Sometimes I would miss episodes because I would go outside and play or play Nintendo or something, or switch over to another channel, watch the Bugs Bunny and Tweety show, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something. Garfield and Friends. This is taking me back. I want every cartoon to come back now. But even though this is continuing the original series, I feel like it does a good job of at least explaining enough to be okay in case you're a newbie or in case your nostalgia memories are lost like mine have become every year. A little bit goes away every year. Bye. I feel like it's either one of those things where it explains it enough in the episode so you kind of know what's going on even if you don't remember the original that much, or it's one of those things of like, I don't know, that specific reference is probably from the original series, but it's not enough to make me completely lost. But even though X-Men 97 clearly follows up the original animated series, it still feels very refreshing. Look, I'm not one of these people that's turned against the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything. I'm not hating on the MCU, but there is no doubt that sometimes recent Marvel movies and TV shows have a little trouble standing on their own because they have to constantly keep the entire MCU in mind. To the point where even an animated series like What If, which should go off the rails, still feels a little confined to MCU rules. By X-Men 97 being in its own world with the only universe building it has to do is with itself, it feels very refreshing in this current age of superhero media. And to top it off with even hand-holding people who either missed or may not remember the original series as well, so they're not lost in this, it just feels good to have a new Marvel series where you can literally just start here and be fine. To be less focused on how everything connects with every past project and just focus on being entertained with what's in front of us with this amazing series so far. And I hope that continues to be this good. I think the storytelling is really good in this. It's really nice because it still has that maturity that I think the original series had. Even though it was a show that aired on Fox Kids, it never felt like it talked down to us when we were watching it. But of course, because of network censors and it being on Saturday morning, they had to make some of their topics a little bit more subtle. You had to like get it if you get it. Whereas in this one, being TV 14 and on Disney Plus, it's still a little bit subtle, but they can go a little bit further and very much detailing what they're trying to express in some of their themes as my phone goes off while I'm trying to talk. They aren't going too hardcore, but you can tell they can move the bar just a little bit more and being a little bit more mature in what kind of subject matter or what kind of action scenes or stuff like that we get to see. It's nothing too bloody, nothing too gory, nothing too direct. It's just like, okay, we got a little bit looser restraints, but it's still the type of show that anyone can watch. Episode 1 is fine, but it's definitely like the setup episode, getting you back into the world. 2 and 3 was when they were really able to like go off. And episode 3 legit is like a horror film. It has some really freaky elements going on in that one. And the series really gets Cyclops, man. I feel like Cyclops is a very strong character in this. And I love that Morph is now basically the X-Men cameo character because Morph obviously has the ability to turn into anyone they want. They have decided in this series to make Morph just turn into all these random X-Men cameos, including sometimes even doing what those X-Men do. It's going to definitely lead to a lot of references in this series. And the X-Men drama is still intact. All those interpersonal relationships, the secrets, the loving a character even though they're in love with another character, the Shakespearean monologues, it's all there and I wouldn't have it any other way.
The last will and testament of Charles Xavier. Everything he built now belongs to me.
There's one scene that Magneto does that just proves to you, yeah, he might be working with the X-Men. Yeah, he might be trying to turn himself around. There's a whole argument about that in the series of like, oh, you supposed to be good now? But man, Magneto reminds you, no matter what side he's on, do not mess with him. He will remind you real quick, I'm holding back. Magneto can do some stuff that can really hurt you. So just a reminder, don't get on my bad side. I was like, tell him, Magneto, tell that government. Will Magneto seriously turn a new leaf? Or is this all part of some nefarious side plan of his? Only time will tell. The animation looks great. The animation is awesome. It's still Saturday morning cartoon animation. And what I mean by that is that, like most Saturday morning cartoons, the budget varied. The intro and certain episodes or certain scenes, so greatly animated, beautiful, gorgeous, fluid motion all around. There's some parts in here, man, it just, to me, my X-Men, that part,
To me, my X-Men.
When Wolverine's running and Gamma jumps on top, touches his claws, the rest that happens with that, so good. Like the A-team of animators came in and did that episode or did those specific scenes. It has some very good animation, particularly in episode 3. Episode 3 has all these weird elements going on. Like I said, it's kind of like a horror film. So they do a really good job with that. The animation also shines in the fighting sequences in the show. Like in episode 1, that whole fighting scene with the Sentinels. Oh my gosh, the animation through all of that looks so fire. Oh, it looked so good. People are gonna be very much saying good things about the animation, as they should. But like a Saturday morning cartoon, there also are those moments that I particularly notice as someone who watches a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. I definitely notice those cartoon cut corners. You know, that thing where like someone's on screen in freeze frame and you just slightly zoom in on their face while someone else is talking off screen so you don't have to animate anything, or like someone's doing a dance but it's just the same loop over and over again for the dance. Like those things happen in this. It's just like the original series, just like any Saturday morning cartoon. But I think most people aren't even going to notice or even going to care because everything else is working so well. Now there is one plot point that happens in episode 2 I'm a little concerned about. because it involves a favorite character of mine, and it involves doing something to them that I'm just like, I know where you're going with this, but I don't want this to be the entire season for this character. Like, this character is awesome, and this character does some really awesome things in the first couple of episodes. So I'm like, do not nerf this character. Do not have them go on some journey where they're not doing their usual thing that we know them to do until like episode 10. But I have to reserve judgment until I see the rest of it. These are only the first 3 episodes, but so far I'm intrigued. I definitely want to watch more of it. I'm hyped to see more of it. I'm a little bummed that even though it was awesome to see these early, now I gotta wait a couple of weeks before seeing some new ones. But I definitely want to watch the first 3 again, because even though it was cool to see it in the theater, of course you got the fan frenzy where people are cheering and screaming and the audio is a little muddy, so you don't hear everything properly. I'll definitely watch it at home with the subtitles on so I can really like hone in. I'm like, yes, I will definitely watch this, no question. Not only am I going to watch this series, but it's encouraged me to go back and binge the original series. You know, I watched season 1 not too long ago before this even came out, but now I'm doing all the other seasons, which is another testament to X-Men 97. The new series reminded me of how good the original series was when I got a chance to see it, therefore encouraging me to go back and watch in full now that all the episodes are easily accessible on Disney+. I don't need to find a bunch of old VHS tapes to watch the show now. And I'm not finished yet, but so far I'm really enjoying revisiting the OG X-Men cartoon. It is a good show. Yes, it's a Saturday morning Fox Kids show, but man, for what they could do back then, it still feels good. It still holds up. I'm still enjoying it for what it is. And it seems like I'm going to enjoy this show the same way. I just wish it came out on Saturday morning. I think they're putting it out on like midnight on Wednesdays or something like that. This should have been released on Saturday morning. Perfect timing. Grab your cereal. Let's go. That's what they should have done. So that's my thoughts about X-Men 97. So let me know if you're planning on seeing X-Men 97 or if you've watched this video after you saw it yourself. What did you think of the series? Goodbye.